When looking at the broad history of women's liberation and suffrage, the main obstacle to gender equality often seems to be the hurdles of both childbearing and child-rearing. For white women, this has sometimes meant staying in the house to nurture the children emotionally. For women of color, this has historically meant wet nursing, nursing another woman's baby either for reasons either medical or social in nature. White women historically looked down on nursing for their own children because it was seen to be demeaning or a task for a lower class of citizen. However, they seemed to have no qualms spending time with their children. In this way, women of color were kept in the home for reasons both social and economic. Wet nursing and child rearing were seen to be women's work, and women's work was best done at home. As we begin to think about the role of a caregiver and caring for young children, it behoves the authors to think about the ongoing history of unpaid domestic labor by women, particularly because this is a narrative that is thought to be only historic rather than current. The London Review notes in an article from the 4th of June 2020 that, with schools closed, 45% of men say they are spending more time homeschooling than their wives. 3% of women say their husbands are spending more time homeschooling than they themselves are. Women are entering the workforce at a far greater rate now than ever before. Dual-income households have been all but necessary to survive and are far more secure in a time when the Canadian unemployment rate has increased to nearly 14%. The average price of groceries has spiked somewhere between 2 and 4% since the beginning of the pandemic, leaving families short on disposable income for commodities like toys, games, art supplies, clothes, footwear, and outerwear for their children. In Canada, where the weather can change at the metaphorical drop of a hat, the need for appropriate clothing to suit the weather is paramount, especially if one finds themselves and their family out of doors. Students of psychology will be familiar with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, an infographic developed by Charles Maslow that outlines not only the needs that each individual has, but also the degree of urgency each of those needs has in comparison to the other needs. While this framework of understanding human psychology is rather simplistic and mildly contested, it offers a solid starting point from which we can begin to discuss an individual's needs.